Writing a personal statement to get into university is one of the most time-consuming and difficult things you will have to do. However, with my personal statement, I managed to get into King's College London. So what I've done is compiled all of the top secret tips that you can use for your personal statement. This will allow you to get into a top university anywhere in the world. And above all, it's going to save you so much time because I'm going to give you a framework of how to write the essay. And also, we're going to look at some AI tools to see how they can enhance and speed up the writing process. What's going on, folks? My name's Ollie and welcome back to the channel. Let's get right into writing a personal statement. And in this personal statement, we need to be conveying essentially why we want to go to university and why we will be a good fit for university. But yeah, with around 800 words, what we want to be aiming for is a short-ish introduction, around 3 body paragraphs, and then a conclusion. But what do we actually include in these paragraphs? So guys, this is the number one tip that I can give you, is that in your introduction, you want to make it as specific as possible to the course. You can apply to up to 5 universities, but you can only apply with one personal statement. You want to be targeting your personal statement towards the course that you want to study. But I'm sure if you're like me at this stage, you might be thinking, well, I have no idea what I want to do. And this is where we can use AI, and ChatGPT comes in handy. So one of the ways in which we can use AI during our personal statement is for idea generation. So as you can see here, if we go onto ChatGPT and we type in our preferences and what we're interested in and kind of what subjects we're studying now, and it will come back with this long list of potential courses that we can study and pursue at university. So from all of these options, what we then want to do is research which one we want to do. But once we have that knowledge of what course we want to do, we can open our personal statement with an incredibly strong start. Because ultimately at university, the reason you're going, the primary reason, at least in the eyes of the university, right, is to study that course. But I'm going to show you my personal statement, the exact one that I used to get into King's. Obviously it goes without saying, you can't exactly copy everything I've written in my essay because it's just going to flag on the system. But a really cool way of answering that question of what course is by opening with a little anecdote. However, one of the main tips I can give you here is probably best to avoid, I have wanted to study this since I was 3 or 4 years old. That is a cliche and it's probably not true, right? Bear that in mind. And if you can't really think of any reasons to why you might want to study the course, then it's probably not the course that you want to study anyway. So go back to step 1, do a little bit more research, because ultimately it is a big step and it's a really big commitment. So now we're moving on to our body paragraph. And again, these should focus on your academics and your interests. Again, that all relate back to why you want to study the course. And a good kind of rule of thumb of this part of the personal statement is to follow the 80-20 rule, which Dr. Matt Williams, who is a politics professor at the University of Oxford, says is a good starting point. And it basically says that, you should focus about 80% of the content of your body paragraphs really on your academic interests rather than your sports and extracurriculars. So what are some ideas that we can use here? And the key I would say for you guys is try and focus on 3 big ideas. So 1 per paragraph. One of the best starting points that I'm sure everybody can do is the subjects that you're currently studying. So try and find some way of linking them all together as to why you want to study that degree. But if the subjects that you studied seemingly don't really have a relation to the course that you want to study at university, do not panic. This is not a problem. So for my A-levels, I studied film studies, chemistry, and biology, but now as part of my liberal arts degree, I'm essentially studying, mainly history and Spanish, right? So it's a kind of a big leap and they're very different. But if you can talk about some of the skills that you took from the subjects and relate it to your personal statement, then that is a really cool thing to be able to display. You can see here in my personal statement how I talked about biology and chemistry and talked about the crossover between those. Yeah, it talks about that kind of interdisciplinary relationship, right? And maybe you're studying, say, geography, right? But you want to study biology, then maybe pick an aspect of geography that you're studying right now that has a relation to biology, or at least tangential relationship to biology. That might be in I don't know, maybe wealth divisions between countries having an impact on health. Well, I mean, look, it's a personal statement. So make it personal to you and really pick something that you're interested in. Find a bit of a niche, right, in your own subject. And on that point of finding niches, right, in your next paragraph, a really cool thing to talk about and display kind of academic prowess is talking about a research paper or something that you've read that is particularly intriguing. And this is basically the kind of thing that you're going to be doing at university anyway. So if you can go out and find some academic sources, some academic information written by scholars, then that's going to show them that, you're on it and you're ready for university. So one of the best ways to find these academic papers is going to one of these 2 websites. You can either go to Google Scholar or JSTOR and basically input some keywords, input some phrases that you're kind of interested in. I've got a whole video where we talk about how to write essays using ChatGPT, and as part of that, we actually look at kind of using these websites, using Google Scholar and using JSTOR. So if you're interested in that and need a little bit more guidance, then I'll leave that in the description. So guys, there is basically no reason why you can't get started accessing these research papers, and ultimately, if you can find one really good one, then I'm sure you can make a paragraph on that. Another great topic for your next paragraph is essentially anything that you've done that you can contextualize and relate to your course. So for me, a big part of this was like all the traveling and backpacking I did. But as well, you can talk about like museum trips, films you've seen, books you've read. Like TED Talks are such a brilliant resource as well. They're like anywhere from about 10 to 15 minutes, really bite-sized, academic, really good bits of information that if you can include in your personal statement, again, it just shows that you're really interested in the course. And that is the main thing that these kind of admissions people are looking for, interest in the course. So if you can show that from the very start in the introduction and then follow it through in your body paragraphs, that's a massive tip, guys. So yeah, try and focus on like 3 or 4 of these ideas. Again, look for 3 body paragraphs, 150 to 200 words each, and be personal, right? Talk about experiences that you've had, because that's going to set you apart. And really, you know, when you're applying to the best universities, that's what they're looking for. So if there is something really niche that you've done or discovered that you like about a particular course, then absolutely please include it. As long as you can back it up and evidence it, then it's fine. So yeah, if we go back to the 80-20 rule, this kind of last paragraph, and I say paragraph, is probably around 2 or 3 sentences, is where you discuss those more kind of extracurricular kind of activities. So this is the time when you can talk about, I don't know, playing cards or dancing or rugby or whatever interest you have. But again, just try and relate it in some way back to your university course. Talk about the skills that you took from it. And I don't know, if you're talking about like playing the guitar, you can even just say something like, oh, well, I've been very committed and practiced or whatever. Obviously, that's really basic and simple. So think about how you can elevate that and set you apart. You've come to your conclusion and you've made it this far in the video. So I'm going to give you a secret tip that is instantly going to level up your personal statement. And that is, in your conclusion, look to the future. If you say, oh, well, I want to do this at university, I want to have achieved this at university. But also, it's really cool if you can like look even further than that and say, oh, in 10, 15, 20 years time, I want to be doing this. Then I need the skills from university and from studying this course. So again, it's so important that you nail down what course you want to do. So you set out in your introduction what you're going to discuss in the rest of the personal statement. And you can see here how in my personal statement, I've really touched on that. And your conclusion only needs to be 1 sentence, right? Just link it all back together, but link it back together through the course that you want to study, and then offer kind of like a poignant touch on what you want to do in the future with that course. So by this point, you should have your personal statement. And what do we do now? And what we absolutely don't want to do is submit it straight away. We want to make sure we are drafting and proofreading. And the great news is we can actually use AI tools again to help us with this. So we can use ChatGPT to edit and redraft that personal statement. Maybe you can ask it for clarity and talk about maybe word choices and things that you might want to change. Again, though, I would encourage you not to just copy and paste everything that ChatGPT says, because again, this is kind of red flags, but you want to use it as a tool where you can take bits and pieces of information and kind of brainstorm with it. As well, we can use like text to speech AI, and that's a really good way of like listening to grammar errors and stuff, because if you put in your personal statement into a bit of software and then get it read aloud, then instantly you can hear if you've like missed a bit of punctuation or spelt something incorrectly. And as kind of a final point, get humans to read this thing as well, right? There comes a point where, you know, you've got to limit the amount of people that read it. So I'd say like 1 or 2 teachers, 1 good friend, or even somebody you just admire, like as from an academic perspective, and then maybe like 1 family member, and then take bits and pieces of information from what all these people say, and yeah, pick and choose what you want to integrate. Especially now, as if you followed this framework that I've set out for you, then I know that your personal statement is going to be in a good place. So yeah, guys, you'll be fine. Just remember to be personal and relate everything back to the course, and you can't really go wrong if you follow that framework. And finally, use AI to help you. I didn't have this feature when I was applying for university, and it would have saved me so much time if it was there. So experiment with it yourself. You can use it for proofreading, idea generation, like content creation, finding research papers, like all sorts. And if you're still not sure where to start with using AI as a student, we've got videos on this channel that help you even more. But yeah, that's all for today's video, folks. If this helped you in any way, please leave a like, because it really does help to support the channel and to help the channel grow. Thank you so much for watching, and best of luck for your university application. I'll see you all later.